Hello my friends, welcome to a very exciting edition of Ride Review. This is our first full-fledged electric motorcycle review. And what an E-Moto it is. Let's check it out. This is the Anthem. It is made by Ryvid. This is a California-based company, pretty new on the scene. You know, they started shipping these mid to late 2023. They have just added another model called the Outset. It's more of a kind of a dual sporty scrambler sort of vibe. This is more of a city bike. We've got the slick tires on here, the nice sporty look. It's you know, not quite as aggressive as a sport bike in terms of the seating position. You're still reasonably, upright forward on this. It's got an adjustable seat, which is pretty sweet. So you can adjust the seat level from 30 to 34 inches standover height. So if you're taller like me, definitely an awesome feature. Let's talk about what makes this bike special. The battery, 4.3 kilowatt hour battery, and this is it right here. It's great positioning, very low front center, gives you a great center of gravity. It's got a 50-50 weight distribution when the battery's on it, which is awesome. Definitely helps out with just, handling and general stability. And highlight on this battery is that it's pretty easily removable. It takes about 30 seconds to get it out of there. It's got wheels on the bottom. There's a little trolley handle that pops up. So yeah, you can, if you need to bring it inside to charge, if you don't have a garage, like me, and then you have to, lug this thing around, you can do it. It's pretty heavy, somewhere between 60 and 80 pounds, but I've lugged it up and down the stairs many times, so it can be done. It's a belt drive system for making it go. The motor lives up in there, and then you've got the belt drive housed down under here. It's such a beautifully polished product. I mean, it is sleek, it is built well. You would not guess that it's this company's first product at all from the build quality. I mean, it is spot on. And it's not to say that everything is perfect on it. I have had a problem or two with it in the month that I've owned it so far, but nothing major, and nothing that I haven't been able to work through. Let's just jump in and talk about that. So yeah, this is my Anthem. I got it about a month ago now. I think it was like April 7th that I took delivery. Got it registered right away. I couldn't wait to get riding. But then I was kind of bummed out because the adjustable seat is broken on mine. So let's take a look at this. So that's the actuator for it right here, and it's all the way down at the lowest level, which is a major bummer for me because I'm a big tall dude, 6 feet 3 inches tall, and so I was excited about being able to use this, raise the seat height up, but it doesn't work. Normally it's these little adjusters over here that do it. So I opened a support ticket with Ryvid, hey, this doesn't work, blah, 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 and they got back to me right away. Sorry to hear about this, we're looking into it, we'll have an update for you soon. But then it was just radio silence. And so a week later, I emailed him back, hey, can I get an update? And it's like, oh, yep, sorry about the delay, we're working on it, we'll have you a solution soon. And then it was the same thing, another week went by. Got up to almost 3 weeks since I put in the request, and I've been patient. They're a new company, I'm sure they're having some growing pains with all the bikes that they've been shipping out lately. But long story short, they got back to me yesterday. They gave me a detailed explanation for why the delay took so long. And I understand. So to fill you in, if your seat actuator ever does break, these have to be calibrated. And if if the rod gets like turned around at all or pulled out or pushed in, it just totally screws up the calibration. And so it has to be calibrated on a bike, which makes it kind of a difficult part for them to ship. Because I don't have whatever equipment they use to calibrate it. So they're going to calibrate one, ship it to me, and then I'm gonna have to put it on there, being very careful not to not to mess with the rod or anything to get it on. I'm not sure how I'm gonna pull that off, but they said they figured out how to make it work, and they are shipping it to me now. So yeah, they got me taken care of. I've asked around on the Ryvid subreddit for people who have had support requests, what's their experience been, and it's been very positive so far. They respond quickly, they're doing their best to take care of things. They also They sent a tech out to update the firmware on the battery just earlier this week. There was a lot of people who own these that were just having kind of weird things with the battery, with inconsistent charge levels over time, where especially like if you drained it down to like 20% and then charged it to 80% and then started riding, then the BMS would just get all confused about how much charge was in there, and you might just suddenly lose all of the charge when you were riding. There's a whole bunch of issues that people are having, which I didn't have, although the draining was a little bit wonky at times, where it would, you know, it just seemed like it would like jump down a lot, or you know, I'd have 70%, I'd turn it off, go into a store, come back out, turn it on, and then I'd be at 60%. I hadn't driven anywhere. So after the firmware update, that was only a few days ago, but so far it does seem like all that is resolved. Let's see, I've only had one other, I guess, bad experience with it so far, and that was the battery's got, you know, the underside edges on here are really sharp. Like, you can't really see them very well when it's on the bike. They're right underneath there. Here's a picture of the edges that I'm referring to. I sliced the heck out of my hand trying to remove the battery from the bike once I was doing it in the dark, and it was like snagged. I couldn't figure out what was going on. I grabbed under the battery to try to just like get a different grip on it, and it just, yeah, sliced the heck out of my hands. Watch out for those. Some people have been putting like, you know, some gaffer's tape or something on it. File them down. I don't know. I did let Ryvid know about that, and so, you know, maybe they'll tweak that on some future editions. Okay, let's see, what else can we talk about, you know, on this bike? I'm trying to think of the things that make it unique, you know, from other motorcycles or E-Motos, whatever. It's got this, you know, it's like some kind of a folded steel frame that, you know, helps it to be lightweight, but still really sturdy. The total bike weight, by the way, with the battery on it, is 313 pounds. So, you know, fairly lightweight, at least in my perspective. My current gas bike's a Honda VFR that, you know, weighs over 600 pounds, and so yeah, this thing feels tiny by comparison. But it's, I think overall it's a good thing. It's very light, it's very nimble, it's very maneuverable. You know, zooming around in town is great. It's actually small enough that you can, you know, lane split very easily. You know, the handlebars aren't too wide, which, you know, normally I do like wider handlebars being a big person, but being able to sneak between cars, you know, it's definitely a worthwhile trade-off. It's rocking the Pirelli Street Slick tires on here. You'll want to note that there are not anti-lock brakes. The brakes are quite powerful. I mean, there you go. There's a look at the front one here. They've got great stopping power, but you can lock these up. I actually just did it today for the first time. So, you know, that's something to be aware of. Make sure you know how to ride safely and recover from a skid, or, you know, just not lock them out in the first place. You can ride two up on here if you want to. Got the foot pegs on here. There's not a lot of room on the seat if you are riding two up, and especially if you are bigger people. You know, I'm not sure what the advised weight limit is, but it's you know, good for a short little jaunt. Okay, let's talk about, you know, accessories for this bad boy, because I've got some on here that do not come stock. One of them is the rear rack. So the underneath, you know, this metal plate under here, this is the rear rack accessory, which you can get directly from Ryvid. And then I've put this UV adapter plate up on here so that I can mount my top case on it. I already had a top case that fits this style plate, so now I can switch it back and forth between my bikes. I'm probably gonna get a smaller one. Here's a shot of my current top case, and it's a little bit too much case for the Anthem. You know, it's kind of big. And it's not the most, I don't know, sturdy mounting setup. I think it's kind of, you know, from the bracket that it's mounted on, and just, you know, having the adjustable seat and everything, there's quite a bit of like side to side play back here. You don't want to go above 25 pounds, you know, top box and whatever you've got in it total weight on here. So definitely not a big cargo hauler, but, you know, for like holding your helmet, maybe carrying your charging cables, stuff like that. I've also got Ryvid's phone mount up here on the handlebars, and it's nice. It's like, I like it. It's got this kind of a rugged, almost like a, I don't know what you'd call it, like all the square, like the sharp angles and stuff on it. But yeah, you just pull this out here, snap your phone in. It's pretty dang grippy. I've had my phone in there on some, you know, longer rides in the mountains. Hasn't seemed like it was even, you know, moving around or any risk of it falling out. Some of that's from the amazing stability of this bike, the lack of vibration, right? It's got, I don't know what a comparable bike would be in terms of like the rake and trail and everything, but it's really nice suspension up here on front. The one little brief jaunt that I did at highway speed, I was going 75 miles an hour and there was no vibration in the handlebars. I mean, it was shocking. This thing was more stable at that speed than my Honda VFR is. And I've even got like the, you know, the RockShox dampeners and everything on it. So that is great. And there's a, you know, shot of the rear suspension back here. I need to adjust mine. One thing that's a little bit frustrating with how this is set up is that in order to change the preload on the rear suspension back here, you have to remove the seat actuator, which is kind of danger zone, right? Because if you twist this around or anything, it's going to mess up the calibration of the actuator, and then you're probably not going to work. So you got to be careful with that. You can put tape around it when you take it out of there to make sure that doesn't get goofed up. But to even get that out, you have to take the seat off, and yes, the nuts and like the bolts that you have to take out to do that are up under there. Very difficult to do if your seat actuator is stuck at the lowest level. The step one of the instructions say make sure it's raised to the highest level. So I'm just going to deal with that when they send me the new actuator. I don't want to do it twice. There is this little storage area up here. It's not actually a gas tank, though it does look like one. Pop that open. It's pretty small. I've got my registration in there. I'll put my keys in there sometimes. But here's my iPhone. It doesn't fit. I can put it this way, but then it doesn't close. Can't fit the long way. I've got an iPhone 14 Pro, so this isn't even the big one. So that's kind of a bummer. I'd like a little bit more space in there. There is a USB port in here, for charging a phone, whatever. So you could, run a cable out here, charge it while your phone's up on the handlebar. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of space to work with there, and this thing, it doesn't lock. So it's nice to have the storage for sure. Don't get me wrong. Okay, what else? I did not talk about the color panels on here. They've got a lot of different colors. I went with the gold. This is their, their signature launch edition color, and it's just awesome. I love it. Gold is always a good color, but they've got a whole bunch of different colors on there. There's they've got the Galactica black and a white. They just added the new something yellow. And these are very easy to swap out, and you can also mix and match them. So you could be like, oh, I want to get the new electric yellow, and I'm gonna put that just right here, and maybe I'll make this a different color. You can make your headlight fairing a different color. You can mix and match these however you want to. Or just have an extra one if you want to switch the colors up every now and then, and they're not too hard to swap around. This kind of leads into what I love about Ryvid, why I picked the Anthem and what I really like about what this company is doing. They encourage modification. They're like, hey, you want to mess with the colors, you want to put your own accessories on there, you want to get creative with some like maybe more invasive mods, they're like, hey, go for it. Doesn't void your warranty. They're still going to support you and take care of you. They also they have like an interactive 3D parts catalog for every part that is on this bike, every component, all of the specs for all the different parts of it. And so they encourage not only the modification, but also you repairing and just, really knowing your own bike. This is a pretty sharp contrast to companies, I guess I'm not going to name names, but there's some other companies out there who are going more the proprietary route, where they're like, it's all this proprietary stuff on the bike. If you take it apart or repair it on your own, you're going to void your warranty. You have to get all the service done at our dealership, or else you void the warranty, and no other dealers can service them anyways, because it's all this proprietary stuff. Ryvid's not doing that, and I love it. They also, they build everything in California, and they just got a grant from the state of California for like having all their manufacturing there. And they've been working on streamlining all their manufacturing operations since they got started. And as a result of that, they actually just dropped their price down for the Anthem down to just $6,500 for an entry-level price. Amazing for the bike that you get. I mean, for a bike that's this polished and capable, that's a big price drop too. It was about $8,000 for the Founders Edition, the kind of the pre-order launch edition. And then it went up to, $9,000, I believe it was, after that for just the regular price. But it didn't stay there very long because they just dropped the price significantly. There are some people that, got the launch edition that are a little bit annoyed at that. They're like, oh, now it's cheaper now. But I mean, that's kind of the risk you run when you buy, those early launch edition first products. And it was more expensive for Ryvid to make the bikes back then. They have improved their processes. It's cheaper for them to make it now, so they're doing the right thing and making it cheaper. So all good in my book as far as that goes. Okay, we're about to just jump in and do some riding on this bad boy. Let's run through the just kind of cockpit controls setup on here first. So not exactly like traditional motorcycle, but kind of close. You got your turn signals in the center here. They don't, you know, you can't press them in to stop. You have to actually bring it back into the middle position to stop the blinker, which is a little annoying, but you know, you get used to it pretty quick. You've got the horn bottom left, about where you'd expect, and you've got your low beams, your high beams. There's a reverse gear up here, which is pretty sweet. It's easy to have a reverse gear when you have an electric motor, so they figured, why not? And even though the bike's light, you know, you don't strictly need it, I really like having it. And then over on the, you know, on the right grip there, you've got your motor kill switch. You can do the cruise control, which I actually haven't used yet. You can do hazard flashers, change your mode, eco and sport, and then the seat actuator. It doesn't work for me, but that's where it is. So if you want to turn on the bike, these are what the key fobs look like. Now, if you're close to it, you know, close enough to be proximity, I don't know, 5 feet, whatever that is, then even if the bike is locked, you can still turn it on, at least usually. So I just locked it there. It does have an alarm. The alarm's it's not very loud. Here, I'll see if I can set it off here. It's I always set it off when I'm trying to remove the battery. And sometimes, nope. Come on. Maybe it's not actually locked. Let's make sure. Okay, it's armed. It might not be setting off because I actually have the keys close by. So let's toss those off to the side. I don't know, they're like 15 feet away, maybe out of range. There it goes. It's and that's it. It stops after that. Not very loud. So, you know, as security goes, that could be improved. I'd like to at least see it, you know, be a little bit louder, a little bit more obnoxious. And another thing to note about the alarm too is that it doesn't work if the battery is disconnected, which on the one hand makes sense. It needs power, but having an independently powered alarm would honestly be a pretty nice feature, you know, because I bring the battery inside to charge. You know, since I don't have a garage, I leave the bike outside. I'd like the bike to still be armed when it's out there, but you know, some alarm is still better than none. Anyways, when you've got the keys close by, then you can just power it on. And you know, if the keys aren't close by, it won't work. That's another thing to keep in mind, though. If you're, I don't know, maybe you're like at a coffee shop and you have the bike parked right outside, and the keys are, you know, in your pocket. Is that close enough? Somebody could just turn it on? I hope not. You know, you're sitting right there, so they probably wouldn't go for it. Anyways, power's up. Boom, there you go. You get your power readout here. It'll show you the amp numerical count down at the bottom. 264 miles ridden so far. When I got my battery firmware updated, it reset my battery cycle count, which is why it only says 2 now. Battery at the top, you know, voltage, all pretty straightforward. There's stuff you can do in the display settings, but I think I'm going to save that for another video because I honestly haven't messed with it. Like, its stock configuration is great to just start riding, so that's what we're going to do. Alrighty. So I've come 3 miles since I was at home, and we're already down to 91%. The drop off from 100% down to like 90-ish is it's fast. You know, it slows down after that, especially because you start being able to take advantage of regen. But yeah, you know, it's not ideal. All right, we're gonna start off in eco, so I can show you what that mode is like. I actually never ride in eco. There's somebody on the forums who figured out that sport mode is actually more range efficient for most riding cases. We're going to talk about that later, maybe in a future video, but I do want to show you what eco is like. Because especially for like stop and go in town, lower speeds, it can still be pretty good to use. Okay, let's make sure we're clear here. Okay, I'm just going to take off full throttle on eco so you see what that's like. Hammer it all the way down. It's got some acceleration, but you know, we're up to 35 now. Now, as soon as I let off the throttle, it starts to rapidly slow down when you're on eco mode, and that is that's the regen. I'm going to let some people pass me here so I don't piss people off demoing that. That's one of the things about using eco mode. It's like the single pedal EV cars, you know, where you let off the gas and then it applies regen brakes automatically. So, you know, we can twist this, bring us up some speed here. We're using 75 amps of power, which is what eco mode's limited to. And as soon as I let go of the throttle, we go to, you know, negative 44. And I mean, this thing is like, it brings us to a stop real quick. You know, I'm not touching the brakes. That is just the regen. So that's something that's nice about eco mode. You can, you know, use that as the brake. You never have to touch your actual brakes, which is pretty sweet. But do bear in mind that it does not activate your brake lights, even when it's really high levels. You know, I'm going to let it off here, and you know, we got up to negative 46 amps on there. It brings me to a stop real quick. No brake lights though, so you know, tap your front brake, you know, so that it'll activate it and let people know that you're slowing down. I wish they would make that standard. You know, on EV cars, typically the regen brakes will activate the brake lights. It's not really the case on, you know, gas motorcycles. When you downshift, it doesn't show a brake light, but you know, there's an opportunity to improve on that. Okay, that's a quick taste of eco. Like I said, I never ride in it, so I'm going to spend most of this video in sport. So I'm going to hit the mode button. We got the red S. We are ready to go. Let me gotta actually put my helmet all the way on here. Okay. Well, we're at 90% power, so let's do a quick acceleration test. Because, you know, as the battery goes down, the slower your acceleration gets. You don't really start to notice it until you get down to like 50. It starts to feel a little bit more sluggish. But we're in the peak mode now, so let's see what we can do. There's 60. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Like this, the acceleration on this bike is just, it's fantastic. We're going up a really steep hill here. We're at 40, but I'll hit the throttle again. Here, it's yeah, this thing is zippy, especially when you've got near a full charge of battery. It's incredible acceleration. I absolutely love it. One thing I like too is that it's not too much acceleration. It kind of feels a little bit foolproof in that you would have to really be trying to do a wheelie and throw yourself off the back. Let's do another one here. We've got actually a little bit of downhill, so we're going to be able to do, you know, probably even a little bit better. Come to a full stop and take it away. 30, 40, 50, 60. So much fun. Now when you are in sport mode, there's still regen, but it's not automatic. So you can let off the throttle and just coast. That's why sport mode actually kind of ends up being more range efficient than eco mode, because coasting is great. We're not using any power, we're just rolling right along. You know, in eco mode, it's either throttle or regen. And even though it is, you know, recovering power with the regen, you know, it's not perfect. It doesn't capture all of your kinetic motion, so you're still losing some to, you know, friction, whatever else. Anyways, in sport mode, there's a little trigger up here that you can use to activate the regen. It's just kind of an on or off, and then as soon as you hit it, you know, there we hit negative 53. It seems like the spike, or the cap for regen is about negative 56 amps. So I'm going to get that again right here, slowing down. I haven't touched the brakes yet this entire ride. I'll need to use them a little bit here. But you can use only regen the entire time. You just remember, no brake lights, so squeeze that lever just a little bit to activate them. Like, this would be perfect. Like, they should really have a brake light activate when you hit this one. You know, that seems like it'd be pretty easy. Anyways, let's keep on cruising. We're down to 87% battery now. This vehicle is a little bit range anxiety inducing for me, because you can see the battery percentage dropping so fast as you're riding it. You know, like it's like every time you look down, a few more chunks have gone off. If you ride on the highway at high speeds, then it's definitely going to be losing a lot. Peak acceleration, you'll see it get on up to, you know, 250-ish amps or so. It's it's such a satisfying feeling, and a little bit eerie since it's completely silent. All right, this is, maybe we'll do a little 0 to 60 on this hill, see what we can do under load. Into a complete stop, and let's go. 30, 40, 50, 60. Not bad, you know. Definitely slower than on the flat. Okay, we've got a bit of a clear stretch here. See what kind of speed we can get up to. Vibration in the handlebars. I mean, it's astounding how smooth it is. If you look at the mirrors, you'll see they're not vibrating. Typically mirrors like this, they pick up those vibrations from the handlebars. You can see like that kind of jitter, fuzziness. Nothing. I mean, rock solid. All right, we're down to 79% on the battery now. Let's see, and we've gone exactly 10 miles since I started riding today. So, we've used about 20% of the battery to go 10 miles. If you do the math there, that's 50 miles of range. And, we're riding up in the mountains. Like, I've been going up some steep hills. We've been going fast. Those things all cut into your range a lot more than, if you're riding in the city. And it does kind of get better as the battery goes down, because once you get down below like 80%, then the regen gets a lot stronger when you're in sport mode, especially. And now that we're under 80%, if I use this little lever over here and hit on that, then it'll bring me down to a stop pretty good. And then obviously you're recapturing more when you're doing that. You still can only recapture so much. If the peak acceleration, you're drawing it's somewhere around like 250 amps, and then the best you can do for regen is 56 amps. I think that's the highest I've ever looked down and seen it at, anyways. So unless you've got a really long downhill where you can be riding on the regen for minutes at a time, then the amount that you recapture is not going to be significant. Okay, we're just gonna do some kind of montage riding, if you will. I'm just gonna kind of cruise around up here, around the mountains, the foothills, meander my way back towards town, burn off some battery. I want to show you just how the acceleration changes once it gets to lower battery, so it means we need to ride some to get there. So, all right, you're in sport mode. Let's rock and roll. Okay, we're down 49%, just under 50. So let's do another 0 to 60. See how it's changed. 20, 30, 40, 50. And there's 60. I mean, you know, not the best test since we had that curve in there. But it does kind of illustrate the point. We're significantly slower than we were at 90% battery. Just the nature of electric vehicles, unfortunately. Let's do one more here. We're down to 45% now. Let's look at our miles and stuff too. Let's see, we're 284 miles, so that means we've done 23 miles so far today. And you know, we're at 45%. Use 55% of the battery to go 23 miles. You know, that's that maybe 40 miles max range is kind of what we're looking at here. But you know, keep in mind, we're riding in the mountains for one thing. That's definitely more work on the battery. You know, there's not a lot of stop up here. City, you got more stop and go. You can regen more. Up here, I'm just kind of cruising. I've been going pretty fast. So this is, you know, this is where the range really starts to get hurt. Is if you do like to ride in the mountains and you like to go fast, it's gonna eat a lot. You know, somewhere between 30 and 40, depending on how much you're pushing it. Which is, you know, kind of a bummer. There's routes up here that I like to do that are. You know, there's one that you know, goes back behind the Horsetooth Mountain over here. It's amazing. I ride it tons every summer on my gas bike, but it's a 51-mile loop from my house start to finish, and there's just no way I could do that on the Anthem. It's kind of a bummer, and you know, there's nowhere to stop and charge out there either. So it's definitely more of a city bike than a mountain bike. But for, you know, this kind of thing where we're just like exploring out here, you know, close to the city but in the foothills, awesome. Okay. Let's keep rolling. Oh, right. That's right. We were going to do one more 0 to 60 here. So we're at 45%. Here we go. There we go. 30, 40, 50. Come on. There is 60. Quite a bit slower than before, but we're still doing pretty good. I'm going to slow down here just so I can check out the acceleration on this hill. All right, let's do it. Ooh, yeah, we're starting to feel sluggish here. Hill climbing is taking a serious nosedive compared to the high percentage. Okay, we're back in the city now. So we've been getting a little bit better on the range. We're at 289 miles on the odometer. That means that you know, we've ridden 28 so far today, down to 36%. Battery capacity, I'm going to do another acceleration run here at 36%. I'm not going to go all the way to 60 because we're in town now. But I wanted to show Sport and Eco, you know, now that we're down at low percentage. So I'm going to move the mode over to Eco, and let's just take it away. Full throttle. There's 30. Pretty tame acceleration now. You know, there's 40. So, you know, it's still got some get up and go. I know I've let off the throttle so you can see just how aggressive the regen is. Like, the regen brakes in Eco mode, way more spicy than in Sport. It stops you a lot quicker. But, you know, now that we're lower on the battery, Eco mode feels a little bit more like a scooter level of speed than it does a motorcycle. All right, let's bump it over here and do Sport. Come to a complete stop, and then full throttle. Off the line, still pretty quick. There's 30. There's 40. I don't want to go too much faster out here. Oh yeah, Sport mode's still, you know, pretty zippy. For in-town speeds, it's awesome. You know, it'll start to really drop off once we get up there around, you know, past 40. You really start to notice. But in town, not too shabby. Here we're just coasting, and I'm going to hit the regen brakes, and it you know, draws a pretty good amount of power, but it doesn't stop you as fast as it does in Eco, which is kind of interesting. Even though they both are regenning the same amount, the stopping power in Eco a lot stronger, and I think that ties into what I was saying earlier about how Eco ends up actually being less efficient in terms of range. There's a lot of your kinetic motion that's getting lost to I don't know, friction. I don't know how that brake works exactly, but there's a lot of kinetic motion that just goes out the window. And then in sport mode you can actually roll. So I suggest you be like me, ride in sport mode all the time. It's way more fun, but maybe do take it with a grain of salt. Do some testing on your own. Okay, folks, it's getting dark and cold, so calling it quits for today's video. Let's see how we did here. Let's see. We used 69% of the battery to go 31 miles. So once we got into town, we definitely started doing a lot better on range. But I've only got like 5 miles more to go home, so I'll be able to make it there, no problem. Once you get under 20%, it does really start to slow down even further, and then after 10%, I mean it's real slow then. But you can drive it right down to 0 if you want to. Try not to. That's not great for the battery. Anyways, as I mentioned, this is just a first impressions video. I'm going to be doing a lot more riding on this bike, so I'm going to be making some more videos. We're going to try some longer distance trips. Try to get creative and see how I can do with some fast charging stations and stuff. There's other accessories that I didn't even talk about in the video today. They've got a fast charging adapter for J-plugs, so you can use charging stations. So yeah, we'll demo those in some later videos. If you have questions about this, please let me know down in the comment section. I will get back to you. If you live in the northern Colorado area and you're interested in trying this out, seeing it in person, then definitely let me know that as well. I would love to meet up and show it off. All right, guys. Oh, yeah. Also, in the description, link to the full written review back on our website, ryvidreview.com. Even more details, lots of photos and fun stuff over there. All right, guys. Ride safe out there. I will catch you in the next video.